Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's been.
but and I expect more starting next week. Um, if you are watching us and you like what we are doing, please smash the like button, subscribe, drop your comments. And Frank, let's go. Let's start with no one else but Elanga, Antony Elanga. It's been reported that
Okay.
Newcastle agreed 55 million pounds deal with Nottingham Forest for his services. I think he must have done his medical by now, or he should be doing his medical
No,
soon.
it's done. No,
It's
no,
done.
it's done. It's
Oh,
all like it's already. He's done. He's done the press. He's already wearing the kits for Newcastle and all that.
oh, oh, damn, that was quick. Okay, but they've been
Yeah,
pursuing him
yeah,
since the end of the summer. Okay, he's I think he's 23 years old. Former Manchester United player. He was signed for 15 million. They signed him for 15 million from Manchester United, and I think Manchester United have a sale value, I think, of 15% resale value or whatever they
yeah.
will make for him. I think 15%. But I think his
Okay.
Forest Records sale, I think it's a record sale for 55 million pounds is a lot. That's plus add-ons. Now you look at the signing, the pros is an excellent to me. He's an excellent signing for Newcastle. Not for the player, not really about the player, but about how his style suits Newcastle. It's a marriage to me made in heaven. If you look at Anthony Gordon on the other side, now look at the pros. Is a right winger, and Newcastle have been looking for a right. You can't really call him. He can play any attacking position because I used to think he was on the left. I found out he played some of the games on the right, and he also played as a supporting striker last season for Nottingham Forest. Okay, now for Newcastle, they get a right winger, and this is the right winger they've been looking for over 3 years. If you remember, Murphy, what's his first name? What's his first name again?
Jacob. Jacob
Jacob
Murphy.
Murphy. He has a brother also that plays
Mm.
professional football.
Yeah, yeah. Josh Murphy. I
Yeah.
think Joshua Murphy.
Jacob
Yeah.
Jacob Murphy played or started that position, played most of that position last season and had a very, very good start. I think he had the second most assists in the Premier League. To me, he overperformed. He's a good a squad player, but I don't think he should be a starting player for me. But he's a very, very excellent good squad player. They get Elanga to start in that position. They had Amarion. They had Amarion. They had something Richie. They had one Richie
Almiron.
guy.
Yeah. Almiron.
They've
Yeah.
never
So
been able
they've had
to. Yeah.
they've not had.
Continue.
Yeah, I think they've not spent up until now. They've not really invested in that particular area of the pitch because they've got Isaac, they've got those strikers. They've spent money in defense. They spent a lot of money in midfield, but they've not really addressed the other guys that goes with Isaac and Gordon. So you see, even Harvey Barnes was, I think, relatively cheap when he got in from Leicester, and just Jacob Murphy was. I think it's safe to say we did not expect him to perform the way he performed last season. And I think that's a positive for both the club and the player because you can see how Eddie Howe can the coach can extract or take players to another level. And with Elanga, this is I think just off the top, I think 55 million is that's a lot of money for Newcastle. That's a big investment for a club like Newcastle. And it seems to be that's the going rate for attacking players this season. But with him at Newcastle, with the way they play, the high intensity at which they play that football, I think it fits perfectly. It fits into what the coach wants to do. He can create, he can score as well, and I think he's a very strong athlete as a player. And I won't be surprised if we see him somehow, if tactically we see him play through the middle at certain parts next season, just behind Isaac, if they want to be more adventurous, especially at Thomas and where they seem to be very strong at St James Park. So it's a very I like the signing for Newcastle. I don't like the price, but I understand it. But I think this is a player that fits into the team perfectly, and you can see him I expect him to have an instant impact from the gates next season.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Stats wise, I have some of his stats. He created the most assists from crosses last season, 6. That's impressive. Although he
Yeah,
overperformed, that 6 assists from crosses last season,
yeah.
the most among wingers, strikers. He recorded the most speed at 36.7 kilometers per hour. That is massive. right? Among wingers and then strikers, he
Yeah.
recorded the most
Yeah,
assists at
it's
36
rapid.
kilometers per hour. Then he recorded 26.2 sprints per 90 minutes. That is the third most among players who played over 1,000 minutes. 26 sprints per 90. I think the closest
Okay.
I've seen that was with this, the closest
That's
player I've seen over 20 is Gittins. I think it was Gittins. Gittins has such style, but I can't remember if it was 26. But Gittins recorded up to 20 sprints per 90 also. Percentage of distance sprinting. He recorded the second most percentage of distance sprinting at 5.1%. Do you know who recorded the most in the Premier League last season? His opposite number, Anthony Gordon. And Anthony Gordon
oh,
didn't even have a
Antony
good
Gordon,
season
but
last season.
yeah,
You see
yeah,
how the marriage, how the
yeah, yeah,
combination is going to be later. Anthony, to me, he had a
yeah.
very
It's you know,
compared
it's
with
I think he had a very hit and miss. Like it was very up and down, different parts. Also, was injured for a lot of a long pass last season. Also think with Elanga and the beautiful thing about him, and particularly last season, what I expect to see next year is when you have a striker like Chris Wood or the form Chris Wood was in last season. Chris Wood was basically finishing everything you put on his plate, and you then go to a team that has Alexander Isak that basically he's outperforming his XG per se. So that helps you in your creativity because you can always you can score and create with him. And Isaac is he's a very unique striker because he likes to play football as well. And I think
Mhm.
Elanga has that level that he can go where because I think at Nottingham Forest it was more of a counter-attacking threat, which I think you still see him at Newcastle. That's how Newcastle play sometimes, especially against the big teams and away from home. But I think it's like in from week to week, we'll see him linking well with Isaac Gordon, guys like Guimaraes in midfield as well. So it's a very good signing for Newcastle. I think it's a statement signing for them. I know a lot of people might look at the name and the price and they might have a bit of there might be a bit of hesitation towards it, but I think for Newcastle, I think this is a slam dunk in my opinion.
There's a slam dunk. Yeah, and then he can cross with both feet. And then what I find so impressive about him, I hardly say this about so many players, but I'll say this for him. In recent
Yeah.
memory, I don't think in recent time I've seen a player that his decision making in top speed is as impressive as him. When you ask me one word to describe
Okay. Yeah.
Elanga, is speed. Like to me, that's what he possesses.
Yeah,
Top
you know,
is not just speed. His
he's
decision
like
with that speed, I'm not saying it's ideal, but it's something very, very commendable. Because you look at Manchester United, he had the fastest goal last season at I think 54 was it seconds or what 54 kilometers in 16 seconds. That is massive. And if you watch the go again, you will see so many
that's
stats, but it's all
that's
about speed. And also another thing
that's
that is so yeah. What did say something? What did say something?
no, no, just a bit of the context, like the goal. No, the goal is called the goal against United, where he ran just about half the length of the pitch on the counter attack.
That's so impressive.
Yeah,
Then also what I did not know before yesterday,
yeah,
I thought he was a left footer, that his right foot was his weaker foot. I didn't realize that. I had to read it up that it was his left foot that is the weaker foot. Now he worked on it during the COVID period where he worked on, but the way he moves with the left and the right, right, is a little bit difficult to realize because he's not yet
yeah,
a top player. He's not yet at the level of, you understand what I'm trying to say. So, but it's not like a Robin or Ribery, or he's not
yeah,
yet,
yeah. I
yet at
understand
that
all this.
level. Yeah. So, but it's difficult to know which one. But the way he crosses with both of them is impressive. Now, here's the problem with the signing. Every signing has a problem. To me, now this is the poor
Okay,
starts with him, but it's normal. 25 of his chances were goals. 25% of his chances were goals. Now, is it because of the team he played with? But if you look at Forest, I think they overperformed more than underperforming. So that is an indictment of look. Then the worst one is 60 chances created last season. Do you know where he was in the ranking? He was in the 70th most in the Premier League at 60 chances created. So he's not a player that creates lots of chances. If you're looking at that sort of player, it's not really a player that creates lots of chances.
Mm, yeah, but no, but again, like if you contextual, if you put that in context, the that particular statistic, I think that relates to the team's performance. Like you said, Newcastle are very also Nottingham Forest are a team that were they were not play. For some part, they had some good games where they played good football, but they were more a attacking team. So I don't think if you look at Newcastle's Nottingham Forest, the overall creativity as a team, I don't think it's high. But what they did have is individuals who are creative in spells and they can carry the ball, create chances from a lot of carries, high intensity sprints, and a lot of counter-attacking movements. I think you see the same trend with his teammates Morgan Gibbs White. They're not like even in terms of possession. I think Nottingham Forest were ranked below the top 10 for possession last season. So
And
it's
then
I
and
think I can excuse it.
yeah, I'm listening.
No, I think I can excuse that particular statistic and just I think the sample size. I need to see a bigger sample size when he plays in a more proactive team next year.
Yeah, and then another good side of his game is 55% shot accuracy. That is massive. At 55%, that means when he shoots two times, one of them has to be on target. That is very, very massive. Now, the biggest problem for Newcastle is that if you watch Newcastle and watch um, Forest, it's identical, but at the same time, it's different. New at Forest doesn't really press. They just let you have the ball and they play deep and they look to counter you. At Newcastle, we learn how to press. If you look at the number of balls he won in his final third, it's not really, really impressive. Now, at Newcastle now, the new thing you have to learn is how to press the ball. So now, if he spends most of his time pressing the ball, will he still be as fast as he should be after like he was at Newcastle when he now gets on the ball? Because he's going to burn a lot of energy chasing the ball, pressing. So it's going to take time for him to incorporate that style of football. But I think he's going to do well. But pressing, he has to learn how to press because if you remember Forest versus Liverpool at the time, they didn't just really press Liverpool. They just let you have the ball. All they do is to play deep, and then maintain that straight defense, and then hit you on the counter. So Eddie Howe will need to school him, or he will need to
Yeah,
learn how to press and then still be decisive with the
yeah,
final thought. So his
yeah.
record 6 goals, 11
And
assists.
just
Yeah, continue.
on Newcastle before we go, I saw this again, like it's a transfer window. There are a lot of rumors flying around, but I saw this transfer rumor recently this morning, and it really like I was like, wow, Conor Gallagher to Newcastle. I said Conor Gallagher to Newcastle.
Damn.
It's the rumor mill.
If
I
it
don't
doesn't
know how
happen this
concrete
season, if it doesn't
it
happen
is,
this
but I
season, it will
think
happen next
that's
season.